Hi guys, welcome back. So let's talk about Eddie Jones's new attacking system, his plan, if I think it's going to work, and disclaimer, this is not an original idea. This is basically a response to Squidge Rugby's excellent video analysis on England's new system. I was getting lots of comments on my last video saying, have you seen Squidge Rugby's new video? What do you think about it? And rather than write lots of really long answers, I thought I'd do a video on it. And straight after watching, it just gave me so many ideas. I started popping stuff down and thought I'd put a little video out on it. So credit to Squidge Rugby. Watch his video. Link above, link below. Excellent stuff. Keep it coming, Squidge. We all love it. Now, first of all, in the Six Nations, we did see England try to implement this new style of chaotic attack. They said they would in the press conferences. The idea is to give something that a modern defence hasn't seen before. Now, you can't really do pure chaos. You can't really do all off the cuff in modern rugby, unfortunately, because if you can't resource the rucks properly, you can't support the breaks, you're going to lose, unfortunately. Of course, sometimes off the cuff is great, but you need a bit of a system to fall back on, like I said, to be able to win those rucks, to support those breaks. Now, first of all, a bit of background on how teams have used forwards. In the old days, old school New Zealand, they would do the 8-man kind of clatter ruck thing where all 8 forwards would literally run over the ball, tread on anything below. You know, the old shoeing days, the ball would be crazy quick and the whole pitch would be available for the backs pretty much to go 7v7 against each other. Hence why often you say, well, there was so much space back in the day, and that's part of the reason where the forwards were literally doing their forwards job, if you like, and the backs were doing the backs job, and they were very much split. Now, as the game evolved, we did see forwards linking with the backs. You'd see flankers maybe coming into the back line, doing a bit of passing. But as professionalism evolved, we started to see more organisation where players were actually told where to be at certain times. There were many, many phases ahead. It got a bit silly, to be honest, but that was kind of the advent of professionalism. The expectations for the forwards was a lot higher, whereas handling was concerned. And now it's almost at a stage where the expectation is forwards handle like backs. You know, we started seeing groups of forwards being used, and now we see 4s, 3s, 2s, even 1s, them being used as pivots. There's passing options, and it's involved some standard ways of spreading your forwards around the pitch and using them. And as outlined in Squidge's video, Eddie Jones wants to take that to the new level and create a new sort of organisation that really looks chaotic and gives those modern defences something they haven't seen before, because they are used to seeing the normal patterns. Now, do I think Eddie Jones has this detailed plan? Well, yeah, that's what he does. He plans really hard, he analyses really hard, he drives his staff really hard, putting the hours in. The 2022 Six Nations, yeah, it was part of his plan. However, I don't think we should pretend that it went well. He would definitely have wanted it to go a lot better. The RFU consistently stick with him, and I think that is part to do with what we don't see behind closed doors, him explaining that plan, so at least they know what he's trying to do. But I bet it's a bit excruciating for some of those RFU board members when he's explaining his plan and they're thinking, but in the meantime, you know, we're crashing and burning, say in the Six Nations sometimes. Now, going forward, Eddie's system could indeed come to fruition and be a really good system, but it's always going to be limited by the players playing it. And, you know, it doesn't matter how well they play, if you like. If you've got, you know, the slowest 9 and the slowest 12 in the top 10 in the world, you know, you've got centres with no power, you've got wings with no pace, which is what he picked in the Six Nations. You don't have a world-class lock to go with Maro Itoje. You're always going to struggle, and you're really going to have to play your system absolutely perfectly to win. So I definitely think Eddie Jones did drop the ball on his selection in the Six Nations, even though, yes, he was working on the system. And also, I think it's easy to get lost in the weeds, if you like, to go into so much detail. You forget that a lot of what rugby is one-on-one physical confrontation, be it speed, agility, size, power, skill, whatever it is. You need players who can do something from nothing. The Antoine Duponts, Darcy Graham, we saw do it in the Six Nations. And if you don't have those players and you've only got your system, then again, you're going to struggle. You're not going to be able to create those tries when you're not playing well. Now, Eddie Jones testing this system in the Six Nations brings up another point. Should you be allowed to use the Six Nations as a sacrificial lamb? It seems like Eddie Jones did that. The wider picture being the World Cup, and that's great. Sure, I want my team to do well in the World Cup, but I don't want to wait every 4 years for the chance that they could do well because they've planned really well. I want them to try and win that Six Nations every year. I think it's possible to do both. Let me know if you think I'm being naive. You do have summer tours, you do have autumn internationals, maybe to try some things, but Six Nations, I don't think you should be experimenting to this degree, and I don't think the RFU and the other governing bodies should let their coaches sacrifice the Six Nations, even if the goal is to win the World Cup. I think you can do both, but let me know what you think behind that. Talking of positives, if this system does work, it could absolutely be amazing, as Squidge outlined in his video there. I've never called for Eddie Jones to be sacked before the World Cup. It just doesn't make sense after he's leaving anyway, so absolutely. And I like the idea of being ahead of the curve. It's definitely risky, doing something that hasn't been done before. It's a big gamble, and it's not gone so well so far, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. I'm waiting for the evidence. Hopefully it's going to come. As an England fan, I absolutely hope it does come. And, there's two sides to this coin. If you show your hand too early, we know Joe Schmidt maybe showed his hand a bit too early. For Ireland, they peaked and then they were a little bit of a known quantity come the World Cup in 2019. But then again, the Springboks were very much a known quantity going into that World Cup too, and they still wiped the floor with England in that World Cup final. Now, there is, of course, merit to say, let's hold our cards close to our chest and not reveal our system till the last minute so teams can't prepare. Or you could say, let's just play our system so well no one can stop us, like South Africa have done in the past, like New Zealand have done in the past. So in conclusion, I'm very excited to see what happens in the future. However, I do want Eddie Jones to pick a bit more talent to get that on the field playing his system, rather than relying on maybe more journeyman players who can play a system and not trusting the talent there. I think he's going to limit the team if he does that. Only time is going to tell. I'm very excited to see what happens. I'd love to know what you think about his whole plan. And once again, props to Squidge for the amazing video. Go watch it. I'll catch you guys next time.